Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be speaking. Last month, I actually spoke in Oakland, and it was Light Within the Shadow. So this month, moving into self-care as a spiritual practice is just a way of life. Elisha called me on the phone, and he was like, I don't know anyone else who can do this like you can. I was like, that sets a really high bar, but I think that's because self-care has really become a way of life for me. And I recognized that it was my biggest weakness. Being a child who battled with depression and anxiety and so many fears, I didn't know how to make myself feel safe. I didn't know how to feel good in my body and listen to myself, right? Like I had no idea how to deeply listen. And I recognize that for me, in this embodiment of self-care and truly taking care of myself, I have to listen, right? I can't not listen to myself. If I'm not listening, I don't know how to care. So we're gonna go into that a little bit deeper today. I only got 10 minutes, so I gotta make this juicy. However, what I do want to say is yesterday I just noticed I was at a wedding and there was this child. She was 2 years old and she was, of course, right when the bride is going down in the middle walkway, this child starts wailing, right? It's a full-on scream. And so I walk up to her and I take the child. And I walk up the hill with this little kid and I just recognized everyone was trying so hard to make her feel better, right? We were like, oh, it's okay, little girl, like, it's fine. And I realized, I was like, wait, let it out. Like, this is what we need to do is actually feel our feelings, right? We're taught so often to hold it in or just feel better and you'll be good. No, like, that doesn't work, right? So I'm looking at this little baby goddess and I'm like, girl, let it out. Right? And I'm like talking to her and I'm like, let's go, let's scream it out together. So I'm on the top of the hill missing this wedding and I'm letting it out with her. And I'm like, yeah. We're walking around looking at plants and screaming at them. And all of a sudden, within 20 minutes, she's passed out full on my body, just like with mouth hanging open. And I realized in that moment, that's what it takes. Like sometimes we have to lean into those spaces to feel what's really going on, right? When we shove those emotions down into this little bin, they just want to explode, and we're not listening to ourselves. So where I really want to take this in self-care is how to listen and become that inner best friend, right? You think about your most dear loved one. Maybe you have a partner that you truly care about, right? And they are your best friend on some level, right? We know how to care for our best friend. Right? Think about that. You know how to care for them. If they came to you right now and they were in need and they were in trouble, you would know how to be there for them. Just as two of my dear ones are here today who came to support me, right? They're here to say, I am here for you right now. In that same way, how do we give ourselves that deep listening and care? How do we become our own best friend? I think so often here in this world, so many people are walking around and being an inner bully. And I think, right, I really do. I think we're being inner bullies to ourselves, right? Were you all mean to yourself today at all, right? It's only like, 10:30? Have we been mean to ourselves? Have we beat ourselves up yet this morning? Raise your hand if you have, right? Like, this is being honest, right? Like, this is an opportunity where we get to recognize, how can I be kinder to myself? If I had one self-care practice that is the reason that I love self-care, it's because I've learned how to be kinder to myself. I've learned how to speak kinder to myself, right? Which in turn allows me to be kind to humankind, right? And in my ability to love myself, I can receive love. I can give it more fully, right? So when we take those moments to slow down and listen, what is my anger telling me right now? What does my anger need from me right now? Like that little girl, do we need to wail and scream? Maybe. If that's what the anger is saying you need, we honor it and we listen to it. We don't shove it down and tell it it's wrong, right? I think so often for me as a child, and I love my parents, but they were taught this too. Push the feelings down, and that means you're strong. That's a true sign of strength. Gosh, bless my mother for having to unlearn this, right? We push it down into this vault, and it serves no one. So another story for you is just recently I was in a big well of grief. I'm sure you all are aware of Olivia, our friend who was hit by a train almost a year ago. She's a dear love of mine, and about 3 weeks ago, lo and behold, Elijah reminded me, our theme is self-care while I'm in the pits of this, but I went to a space where I recognized I was praying for her highest and best with an attachment on what that looked like, right? Here I am, a practitioner, right? Pray for your highest and best, which actually means there's choice on her part, by the way, not mine. And I had to call myself out. I was leaning into an attachment, an expectation of what I wanted that to look like. So instead, what did that not allow me to do? Grieve the truth, right? I wasn't listening to the self-care that was actually needed, which was grief. Grief was needed from me. It needed to feel feelings. I needed to go into the well of her choice and honoring that and recognize and call out my own attachment and expectation. So in deeply listening and caring for myself, I'm stronger for her now, right? Because I let myself grieve, because I let myself feel, and it was uncomfortable, I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't, because I actually think self-care is the most powerful when we need it most. It's really easy to draw that bath when we're feeling really good, putting in our little oils, right? We're like, ooh, this feels so nice, I'm in such a good space today, right? But it's the moments actually when we need it most that I invite you to care for yourself, right? It's those still moments even when we're in our head, right? To come out of our head, to come back into the heart. Right? How often are we thinking about the next thing that we have to say or do, or not taking the moment to just be in the moment? Right? Yesterday when I was holding that child, I kept thinking, oh, I should be doing this or that. And I was like, girl, enjoy this beautiful little child of God sleeping on your lap and just revel in it. So I did. I listened to the trees. I watched her little mouth open. And I was like, this moment is perfect. I am exactly where I need to be, right? Just like me and my girl, Lissa, right here. We've had rituals together, ceremonies where we just get to sit in silence and hold space together. Doesn't matter what we're going through, it's just the connection of coming together, right? So I just invite you, as you move forward, as you bring self-care as a spiritual practice, think of it as a way of life. Right? You have this moment right now to care for yourself. Not tomorrow, not the day after. You have this very moment to take care of yourself. To be kinder to yourself so you can be kinder to humankind. Right? Because as we heal ourselves, we heal the planet. Right? And don't be afraid to ask for support. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Right? I think so often we think we have to do everything alone. Sometimes self-care is sitting in silence with one of your loved ones and just enjoying the silence together, right? So you don't have to be in this alone. So that is my invitation today, is recognizing if you are being the bully or the best friend, and to just hold yourself accountable for that, right? I love holding myself accountable because it invites me to grow, to evolve. So take that with you as you move forward through the week, through this day, because all you truly have is this day, right? So let's be our own best friends.
Oh boy. Yeah, okay. There's so much about where self-care begins. So I am a spiritual counselor and a licensed practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm also an 80-year-old woman. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about being an 80-year-old woman is not being an 80-year-old woman. The very beginning of my day is, before I even get out of bed, is to set my intention for how this day's going to go. When my feet hit the ground, okay, I'm already into what I call habits. Habits that vote for what I want to be and experience. So I have chosen a context which is well-being. I choose and have intentions towards and make my day part of a vote for what well-being experiences in me, as me, and because of me. So the very next thing I'm doing is making tea. And while I'm making tea, and the tea begins to steep, it takes 2 minutes. I steep my tea for 2 minutes. Okay? That's what an 80-year-old does. This is my support team right here. So, and while I'm steeping my tea, then I do squats for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, okay? Squats for 2 minutes, okay? And I'm doing more squats for 2 minutes. That's 50 squats at the pace at which I do my squats. 50 squats for 2 minutes, okay? The rest of the day now, okay, also includes spiritual practices. Sometimes for others, it's sitting in quiet meditation. I love the way that you explained that and how it's sitting with others. But I need to do something that's moving, that's meditative in nature. So I'm going to demonstrate then what I do for the next 2 minutes. And this is all of this is me holding this body in high honor. This body that I play life with in high honor. The next 2 minutes then look like this. Okay, and I do that for 20 feet. Okay, and my trailer's not very big, but I can do it for 20 feet. All right, by the end of that, I've exercised almost my entire body. And I have quieted my mind. I have created a space in me and my perception. I have created that space for the more of me to show up. The more of me is now available. This is all part of my also, I have an affirmation that always starts with this. I am an excellent steward of my mind, body, and spirit. So I have taken care of my body to this degree, and because I have an ambition of doing at least 100 squats a day, I will be doing squats at some other point. But the other part of me requires a balance in my creative nature. I have a very creative nature. Requires a balance in my creative nature. And that little bad boy says, you are going to do your art even if you stare at that paper and it stays blank. You're going to create that space in that time. So all of this winds up being, okay, commitment and habit. So I am about having all of my habits be a vote for well-being. Right? So I will now make a commitment, even if I do no art, but at least creating that space and time where I am with my art as a creative activity. Okay. And then later on in the day, I make sure, well, actually, it's right after the tea gets done and the squats get happen and all that. Well, right after that happens, then I say, what need I be prepared for today? So I go through a process of saying, am I ready for the commitments I have made today? Am I ready? Have I taken a shower? That may be necessary. Okay. have I had, do I have clean clothes? Now, all that belongs, okay, in this next part of me that says, I intend, this is my intention, I intend to be resilient in the face of whatever comes my way. So right now I'm telling you that what we want happening in our lives is to be available for the more of us to show up. What we want in our lives, okay, is to have the wherewithal to be resilient in the face of crap. We have that ability in us, as us, and because of us, in every moment we choose. So there's never an ending to creating this body that I play life with, this mind that I solve my problems with, and this spiritual grace in which I turn to with my heart. I have a friend whose body has always been a problem for her. We were having this conversation just the other day. And I said, how do I talk about self-care for someone like you? And she said, I turned to that activity which cultivates joy in my life. Cultivates joy in my life. Oh, I said, that's where I'll go because I already am going there. Cultivating joy. Cultivating that experience of loving. Cultivating that experience of, I don't know how to experience this. When I've done a particularly heavy-duty physical activity, when I've done that, I am so proud of myself, so proud that I can do it. I did it. I did that. I can still lift and carry and install a 7-gallon propane tank. That's a bad boy to pick up and handle. So that's the kind of thing is that I can still do this with my body, this body I play life with. And I'm inviting you then to honor your mind, body, and soul, spirit, with all of your activities. They all count as a vote towards your highest ideal of how you play this life and love it. Thank you. So let's kind of like bow our heads right now and own then this next space of time where we're breathing that one intimate expression of life, our breath. There is no place it is not. It is that which connects us. It is that reminder that life is meant to be lived at the highest level. So I turn to, and let us recognize together that there is one absolute existence. It is that creative genius, that consciousness, that beginning point of all manifestation. The entire universe is a manifestation of this magnificent, conscious, empowered energy. And we are of it. It is through us and as us that life expresses. I am naming then for each one of us here that we are excellent stewards of our mind, body, and spirit. That anything unlike boundless joy, infinite intelligence, that deep, deep peace, anything unlike it falls away from us now. It is no longer in the way of our ability to turn to and focus on the more of us. There will be many things that come up, but by God, each and every one of us understands how to be available to that potential. A life lived fully, that's what we're after here. And with it, within the context of it, we have the ability now to be that beginning point of joy and love and laughter. Let us not let go of that potential. I'm leaving these words now here with great appreciation for knowing that each and every one of us here is a co-creator and an individualized expression. I say now then that we are all available to the more of us. And with a resounding yes, we leave these words available to that subjective mind already saying yes. And so it is.